From Church Militant Studios, this is the Church Militant Evening News.
Hello and thank you for joining us this Monday, March 20th. I'm Hunter Bradford, along with James Fedua, here with Catholic News in Context, a day after the Feast of St. Joseph. Tonight, two faithful prelates are asking the Vatican to put German bishops on trial. Polish bishops are coming to the defense of their older brother, Karol Wojtyła. Gay communists infiltrated seminaries in the 20th century, and girls just infiltrated an all-boys choir. Leading us off, two high-profile cardinals are calling on the Vatican to hold dissident bishops accountable. Last week, Cardinals Raymond Burke and Gerhard Müller called for a trial of the German bishops who voted to bless same-sex so-called marriages.
If they are acting or going absolutely directly against the Catholic doctrine, the definition of the dogma, against the dogma of the Catholic doctrine, there must be a trial, and they must be sentenced, and they must be removed from their office if they are not converting.
Cardinal Burke called this scandal by the German bishops a crime, adding canon law, quote, provides the appropriate sanctions.
And joining us now to discuss this further is Church Militant's Nick Wiley. Nick, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, James. It was great to see Cardinals Burke and Müller step up and say these things. As you know, Burke was the head of the highest court in the Vatican, the Apostolic Signatura, and Müller was the head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. So if anyone has the authority to speak on this in such bold terms, it's them. I want to bring up something else that Cardinal Müller said during this talk, which was completely straightforward and very clear on the matter, to clear things up. It is absolutely blasphemic to make a blessing about those forms of life which are, according to biblical and ecclesial doctrine, a sin, because all forms of sexuality outside of a valid matrimony are sins and cannot be blessed.
You know, Nick, it just seems bizarre. All Müller is doing there is just seems like she's just reiterating just basic church teaching, but we're talking about it like it's unfortunately a huge news story. I mean, if you think about it, we really shouldn't have to be talking about this, and Müller and Burke should not have to say this stuff, at least not to their fellow clergy members. But it's terrible that it's come to this point that we're at. But what are some of the other things they said?
Yeah, so another thing that was brought up by Cardinal Burke was how the Germans have weaponized the Pope. He proclaimed that Francis sometimes says things that are very clear and in accord with the Church's teachings with regard to these matters. What the agents of the revolution do is simply ignore these statements and take other statements in which he seems to be favorable. So to be clear, Francis has specifically told the Germans multiple times they have no authority to change doctrine or structures in the church. Anytime he said something against them, they simply ignore him. They don't care anything about it, but they take the opportunity every single time when he says something confusing, which can be construed as, favorable to them. They're like, oh yeah, like that's our guy. Like we're with Francis. We do everything the Pope says. We love the Pope.
Yeah, this is, Nick, where I feel like he's just dug his own grave on this. How can he expect to be respected and followed if he keeps changing his message or just keeps leaving the message just open for interpretation? I was actually talking to a priest a while ago who expressed major concern over how the Pope does this, and just saying things and just anyone's opinion, what it means, what he's trying to convey with his message. So it just seems weird how he, it's good that he's coming out against this, but how can he expect to be followed if he's just flipping his messaging, leaving it open for interpretation, and just sort of not really being a leader like he's supposed to be, Nick. But Nick, thank you so much for coming on and breaking this down for us, and we'll hopefully have you on again very soon.
Thanks, James. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you, gentlemen. After a Polish TV station accused Pope St. John Paul II of cover-up of priestly sex abuse, the Polish bishops are coming to his defense. In just a couple of days in early March, both a documentary and a book were released depicting the same narrative, as Archbishop of Krakow, then Cardinal Karol Wojtyła, covered up abuse all the way up to 1978. While Polish bishops claim John Paul II's sanctity isn't in question, they did announce on March 14th they are creating a commission to investigate sex abuse claims in Poland from 1945 to 1990.
Montserrat Monastery has been home to one of the oldest all-boys choirs in Europe. But for the first time in 700 years, they're adding a Coed choir. The Abbey of Montserrat near Barcelona is adding a choir of about 25 men and women aged 17 to 24 to sing at masses once a month. This is in addition to the Escolania, the all-boys choir. A priest at the monastery explained, "We're often asked why there aren't any girls in the Escolania. It's a complex and difficult question. We follow a tradition that we would like to continue, but we also realize we have to respond to demand." For a little taste of just how good Escolania is, the all-boys choir, listen to this.
Moving up to Canada, anti-Christian vandalism just claimed 2 more victims. Both St. Marguerite School and Bethlehem Catholic High School in Saskatoon found graffiti on their walls early last week. According to a Wednesday post, the principal of St. Marguerite called the graffiti messages hateful, racist, vulgar, and threatening language. She even said the students were not allowed outside for recess so as not to expose them to the disgusting nature and racial slurs. She assured the families of St. Marguerite she does not believe the vandal to be a student.
And for over a week now, we've been highlighting exclusive interviews we did at the Bringing America Back to Life convention in Cleveland. Kristen Hawkins, president of Students for Life, made 2 important announcements. One, you want to put on your calendar for June 24th on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington.
We'll be there June 24th at Steps of the Lincoln Memorial. We have a permit. We'll be hosting an event outlining a new dream for the pro-life movement. So if you want to come this June 24th, Students for Life will be there with a very special event. I haven't announced it yet, but coming in the next few weeks. So I'd love to have people come.
Hawkins also said her organization's focus on chemical abortion and what it's doing to the water supply could be a game changer.
We've had 22 years of chemical dumping of chemically tainted blood, tissue, and human remains going into our open waterways. We know from numerous studies that are on the NIH website and across the world that these drugs, the active metabolites that are found in chemical abortion pills, that aren't found anywhere else in any other pharmaceutical drug, are affecting reproduction life of fish, farm animals, and even human beings, and no one is talking about it.
You can see the entire interview on Church Militant's website, churchmilitant.com, under the interviews section. But when we come back, Wyoming takes a courageous stand against killing babies at home. Whether or not Trump returns to the White House is still in question, but not his return to YouTube. But don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Thank you for watching the first half of Church Militant Evening News.
If you would like to watch the rest of today's episode, please click the link in the description, and we'll see you at churchmilitant.com. God love you.